right, welcome to another episode of the Couch Coaches podcast, where we talk about everything going on in the world of sports. And I picked a terrible week to be busy and not be able to record last week, because not only did the Niners lose their third in a row, but the Raiders at like 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday night or Monday night, just everybody's gone. Pierce is the new coach, and they looked like a completely different team, both on the field, in the locker room afterwards. The demeanor, everything was just, it looks like everything was lifted, and we go, oh, this is what it should have been. So Dean Greg, I'm gonna start with you. Thoughts on the Raiders moves and then the game on Sunday and how you feel moving forward.
Well, I congratulate Mark Davis on having the courage to make that move. You know, a lot of people said he had a lot of money on the books and stuff like that, and that, you know, he was just going to stay hold pat. But he kind of, you know, they had a team meeting, and I guess the meeting didn't go well. I heard some rumors about what went on in the meeting, that that the coach McDaniels asked Anthony Pierce to address the team on his behalf. And he talked about how when he was a Giant, how they beat the Patriots, and then McDaniels got mad and said, "Don't ever talk about the Patriots like that again." So anyway, it didn't go well, and Mark Davis got wind of how that meeting went, and he made changes and brought in the interim coach, and I love what he did. He brought in the energy. That coach brought in the energy and the attitude. And, the game, it wasn't televised locally, so I didn't see the game, but I saw highlights and read all the everything about the game. And I did see the highlights I saw. I just seen the energy on the field and the enthusiasm, and with the players and stuff like that. And what I had been calling for all the time is to let that rookie quarterback play, O'Donnell, and they got him in there, and he's accurate, and he played a good game. The whole team just rallied. Renfro, we hadn't seen him all season. He was making plays, and things like that. The defense was playing well. Just a new attitude, and that's what I'm very excited about, just to see how the Raider attitude, again, that they're having fun, they're playing fast, loose, and we'll see where it goes. The Giants are not a good team. They beat the Giants, but hey, we lost to some bad teams earlier. We lost to the Bears when we should have beat them and things like that. We got the Jets coming in on next Sunday. I watched the Jets last night. I'm not impressed with their offense at all. Defense is a stout defense, but I think that, we should be able to tell a little bit more about the Raiders next week. But I am very happy just to see the enthusiasm. The coach, like he said, he grew up in Compton. He was a Raider fan growing up, back when they played in L.A. in the Coliseum. He used to be a fan of the Raiders, and brought in a new offensive coordinator, Bo Hardigree or something like that, and I heard he was calling some good plays and things like that. So I am very excited going forward, just to see how it plays out. And again, if this coach does a great job and the team improves, I'd be all for keeping him around. They got a new GM, the interim GM. If that staff works out, hey, let's roll with it. I am excited.
You should be, because you guys have been caca the whole year up to this point.
Here you go. Don't.
No. I'm excited. Hey, I'm excited for you, Brother Bill. Thoughts on the Raiders?
Yeah, I mean, because I didn't see the game, my impression is it's amazing how much just that changes the way a team plays. Because in the NFL, they're all professionals, so you would think that they're just going to want to win every game. Right. And compartmentalize if there's drama or whatever, just on the field, just do your job. Right. So it was just amazing. I was pleasantly surprised to see how well they played. I mean, it wasn't a close game. I mean, they played well in all three phases of the game. And it's not often you see that when there's been a coaching change, that all three phases played well. Everything clicked. And so, I'm interested to see, how they continue to execute. Well, I think two things will be interesting: both their preparation, how Pierce and the coaching staff has them prepared each week, and then how they execute on the field, because their schedule isn't a tough schedule. There's some teams that you could say on paper are better than them, but if they play well, you could see them, especially on defense, if they play defense well, they could potentially be in games late in the game. Something that you couldn't always, say. So, I mean, like, hey, Raider Nation, see, Deacon Hill takes a step where I say, I'm pulling for y'all, except when you play the Niners. He doesn't want my support, and that's cool. That's cool. But I'm interested to see how the team does the rest of the year. And he and I talked, it would be a disappointment if the team plays well and Mark Davis doesn't name Anthony Pierce as the head coach.
Which is what he did last time, essentially. He thought he was getting the big Patriot way.
Bisaccia, when they had Bisaccia, yeah, and he got him into the playoffs, and he goes with Josh McDaniels anyway. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I think he learned his lesson about that, reaching, for that big name. So hopefully he learned his lesson. We'll see.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope when you guys play the Jets, I hope you guys don't do what the Eagles and the Chargers were doing, is get the lead. They can't score any points because their offense sucks. Get the lead and just run the ball. Like, the only way they're going to get back in the game is when they pass the ball, and that's what happened to the Eagles. And they lucked out like 6 different times on tipped passes against the Chargers, and it's like they're trying to let the Jets back into the game. It was awful. That, and if Rodgers didn't tear his Achilles the 2 plays into this year, he would have been injured some other time. That offensive line is absolutely horrible, and I don't care how good your quarterback is back there. Rodgers would have broken collarbone. It would have been a knee. It would have been it would have been something, because he would have been hit so many times between his Achilles tear and now. They would be better, but he'd be in a lot of pain, I think, because
it'll be a good matchup. Raiders offense against that Jets defense. The defense will come to play.
And they didn't get flexed out. How did they not get flexed at these 2 terrible teams? How did they not get flexed out of that game?
Because it's the New York market, and it's the Raiders on was it a Sunday night game?
I think so, yeah.
It was a 1:00 game, but then you had the Eagles and the Cowboys. Everybody wanted to see that game.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So staying with football, and a thing that I don't understand, because they have a great offensive head coach coordinator and an amazing defensive coordinator, and they don't seem to be getting better against good teams, is the Dolphins. I cannot figure out why the Dolphins are not getting better, why they're not putting up better numbers. They were in Germany like 3 or 4 days before the Chiefs. You would have thought the Chiefs had been there for 2 weeks, the way they came out and just stomped on them. I don't get it. I don't know if people have figured out McDaniels and can throw off Tua just enough to make it so he's ineffective, but with the type of speed that they have on that offense, I don't see how they're not putting up 30. I mean, even if they're losing, how they're not putting up 30 points. And Fangio doesn't seem to be kind of taking them to the next level. Brother Bill, if you've seen them, if you have thoughts on just what's going on with the Dolphins, I would love to hear them.
Yeah, I saw the game, and it's interesting how much press Mahomes gets, Andy Reid. But that defense is why the team has 2 recent championships. And I was surprised to see how well that defense dominated the Dolphins offense in the first half. I mean, that Tyreek Hill turnover, DB just made it good. I mean, just good play, the ball stripped it. That just happens, right? Doesn't happen often. The fact that the Dolphins came back and made it a game in the second half with their speed makes you wonder what was wrong in the first half. I think that their offense is becoming predictable. That the good defenses, especially because Steve Spagnuolo, he's a heck of a defensive coordinator. He had that offense figured out in the first half. They made adjustments. That's why it became close to second half. But to answer your question, the strength of the team is their offense, and their defense certainly displays well enough so that if the offense has a good lead, the defense, doesn't give it up. So it's going to be interesting to see how well they can play in close games, because the good news for them is they're in a good division. They should win the division. They get another crack at the Buffalo Bills, and to me, those are even teams, right? It's just I think it's going to be a play here or there. We'll talk about the Ravens later, but yeah, I think the challenge, of the Dolphins is their offenses. Defenses are figuring out their offense.
Deacon Greg.
Yeah, I agree with Brother Bill on what he's saying, how, the defense is a strength. I mean, it's the weakness of that team. But I was looking at their record, and I heard on First Take, they were talking about them also. is maybe they've been overrated the whole time. All the teams, they've been winning against teams with losing records. Anytime they go up against a team with a winning record, they do the same thing. So I think we got caught up with them. The teams that they had beat. You know, I'm looking at them right now. The Chargers. You know, the Chargers. You know, they beat the
Broncos,
the Patriots, the Broncos. They got blown out by the Bills. You know, and the Bills are not that good right now. We're finding out. And then they beat the Giants, and they beat the Panthers. You know, then they lose to the Eagles. They beat the Patriots, and then they lose to the Chiefs. So again, the teams that are, you know, the top echelon teams, they're not beaten anyway. So I just think we just got kind of caught up with the teams that they were, you know, that they were winning the games against, and thinking that they were a little bit better than they were. You know, the offense, they got a pretty high powered offense. And they was able to match their defense. But when you get into playoff late in the season, you know, and better caliber teams, that ain't going to work. So I think they just might just be who they are.
Yeah, the thing that surprised, so they were one of my dark horse teams at the beginning of the year, mostly because of how they played last year. I mean, they had Tua was in and out, and they were still like right in games. I feel like they were almost better overall last year. I mean, I don't know what the numbers say. I'm sure the numbers this year are much better because they had those blowouts and stuff, but I felt like they were going up to Buffalo in the playoffs with a third string quarterback and could have easily won the game. And granted, the Bills have whatever their weird issues are with the Bills, but coming in this year, I thought they were going to be right up there with like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, like the you know, in that kind of area. And they haven't beat any good teams, like any even like kind of good teams. It's surprising me. And next subject, equally as surprising, CJ Stroud is an absolute stud. And I don't know if you guys did you guys see the end of the last game or the end of his game against the Bucks?
I didn't see it.
No.
I was up. So Damon Bruce and Larry Krueger were having a fan meetup up in the city on Sunday. So I was up there doing photos and filming and stuff with that. And if you guys obviously are sports fans, but being able to sit down and talk with Larry Krueger and Damon Bruce about sports, like one-on-one, is pretty cool. And the next time they do an event, I highly recommend like you guys going up there, because they'll sit down and they're talking shop. They're talking sports for like 4 hours, which is really cool. But at the bar we were at, they had the game on, and I thought, you know, Mayfield scores. What do they have, like a minute left, a minute 6 left or something? I thought, oh man, that was, you know, it's great for the Buccaneers. I don't care about either one of these teams. And then I go around, take some pictures, take some videos, come back, and Stroud's in the end zone, or the Texans are in the end zone. I didn't see this at all. I don't know if you guys saw Stroud. I mean, I don't think anybody sees somebody excelling like this their rookie year, but I didn't see anything special with CJ Stroud at all. And this is why I'm not a GM. Deacon Hill, I don't know if you've seen much of Stroud or thoughts on Stroud or.
You know, I watched him. I watched him in college. I watched him at Ohio State, and then I also watched it, you know, against Bryce Young with Alabama, and that was the two comparisons, you know. And you know, Bryce seemed like he was a little bit more polished, I guess, but Stroud, you know, and plus based on the reputation of Ohio State quarterbacks, you know, you get these quarterbacks out of Ohio State and they don't seem to flourish in the NFL. So I think a lot of skeptics was against that too, also. So I was kind of thinking that Bryce Young would be the better quarterback. But just look, I just pulling up his record. This guy he's thrown for 2,270 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
You're for 500 yards on Sunday
in his rookie year, you know, and then in his side, he's a big kid too. You know, he's 6'3", you know, and Bryce Young is like 5'10". So I don't, you know, that's how, like I say, GMs, they get it wrong. They look at something they look at and they get it wrong. So I watched him at Ohio State, but yeah, you never could have projected that he would be playing like this. That blew off the chart right there. 14 touchdowns and 1 interception. That's crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, he to me, he just looked like, I mean, Ohio State quarterbacks, when they have a good team, they all look good. And then they get in the pros and they're not good. And he looked good. He looked really good at the end of the year. And then he goes pro and he's just I mean, he had he has ups and downs because he's young, but man, my goodness, a 500-yard day and 14 touchdowns. Brother Bill, have you seen much of Stroud this year?
Yeah, I saw more of Emmanuel at Ohio State than I've seen him in the NFL, because it's Ohio State. I mean, when the game's on, and so what's interesting to me is how well he looks comfortable there. It doesn't look like it's too big for him going from Ohio State college into the pros. And that's not common for quarterbacks. I mean, many a times you see them, they get in there and they're, deer in the headlights, for the whole rookie year. He doesn't have that. You didn't see that with Trevor Lawrence, when he came out of Clemson. He looked like he had a rough first year. But that was, I think, more of the team than it was him. Second year, boom, they're in the playoffs. So I give Stroud his props. And they're 4-4. They're right in the thick of it in the AFC South, race with Jacksonville. So Jacksonville 6-2. So and they play each other. I don't think they haven't played each other yet. So I'm sorry, they have. And Houston beat them once. So it's not over yet. It's going to be an interesting second half of the season for that team if he continues to play well, and that team continues to play well.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. You get a head coach and a quarterback, and it just takes this team that's just an absolute dumpster fire. And oh, hey, look at us. We're in the playoff hunt. It makes me miss D'Amico even more than I do the last 3 games. So I'm proposing this. You guys let me know what you think. I think as of today, the two best teams, which is interesting because one absolutely owns the other one. I think the 2 best teams in football are Cincinnati and Baltimore. Thoughts? Or other team? If you think other teams are better, like I think Cincinnati and Baltimore are just absolutely just so on point right now. I don't necessarily trust either one of them to keep it going, especially Baltimore. But they look like they are absolutely rolling. Brother Bill, thoughts?
In the AFC or in the league?
I think just the league.
Yeah, in the league, don't know about Cincinnati. 8 games in, you could say that they're in the first tier, because to me there's 3 tiers of teams. The ones that, okay, you can see them getting into the playoffs. The next tier, depends on how they do, and then the bottom tier, forget about it, draft picks next year, right? I would definitely put Baltimore, even losing their running back in the first week, in that top tier because of their defense. Lamar's going to do what Lamar does. I mean, he's MVP, right? But to me, the strength of that team is their defense. Cincinnati, they got a healthy Joe Burrow. Look at what he's doing, right? Don't count out the Kansas City Chiefs, even with their struggles offensively, because they've been there, done that, and Mahomes, even on 1.5 legs, was good enough to beat Cincinnati in the playoffs. So we'll see. I think it's a 3-horse race right now in the AFC, and you can put the Ravens in there. Don't sleep on Cleveland, though. I'm telling you, Cleveland Browns, there's something about that defense. So
yeah, the quarterback though.
Yeah, I don't know. Give me a few more weeks to see whether Cincinnati can stay consistent.
Yeah, and just so we're clear, I'm talking about like this moment. I would.
Oh yeah.
I would never count out the Chiefs because I've seen it too much.
Right.
Never count them out. I'm talking about just like right now.
Yeah.
Deacon Hill.
Yeah, right now I would not say that they are the 2 best teams in the NFL. Like you said, in the AFC, I'd put them up there, and I think I'd put Baltimore ahead of Cincinnati, because Baltimore's offense is actually playing right now. They got a good defense, but the offense is clicking right, pretty good. Lamar is throwing the ball. They got a running game, and it's not just him running the ball either. Cincinnati, they're a good team, but and then I just heard this week today that I think the receiver Chase got hurt or something, and they're looking at him for some kind of injury he got going on. So that injury bug is going to be out there. But as far as the overall team in the NFL, I'm still not counting out the Eagles right now. The Eagles, they're not pretty, they're not doing it, they're not lighting it up and everything like that. But they're consistently winning those games. And I still think that the Eagles are the team to beat in the entire NFL. But with Kansas City, You of course like you guys all said, you can't count out Mahomes, but that defense just ain't what it used to be, and that Kelsey can only take you so far. So I don't know about Kansas City right now. I think that the Eagles are the best team right now in the NFL, and Baltimore, and then I'd put Cincinnati and the Chiefs right. 1A, 2A and 2B right with each other. But I would put the Eagles at the best team.
Yeah, the Baltimore Cincy thing is interesting because Baltimore just whatever Baltimore is, and I swear I would not be shocked if there's some sort of like sign stealing something because Baltimore just destroys everybody in their division. And everybody except for the Steelers. They absolutely own the Bengals and they own the Browns. I don't care how good their defenses are. I don't care how good their offenses are. The Ravens own them. So the head to head, I think Baltimore would beat Cincinnati. But the Kansas City's defense to me is the thing that's kind of is helping them right now because their offenses they haven't figured out what to do without a number 1, number 2, possibly a number 3 receiver. And the Eagles, their talent is so insane. But I think their coaching is still not great. They 100%, if they played any other team than the Cowboys with Dak Prescott as quarterback and Mike McCarthy as head coach, they should have lost that game because they were like right there and they couldn't do anything to get in there. And I think that's more on the coaching of the Cowboys than and the Cowboys red zone just nonsense this year. They're horrific in the red zone. I think it has more to do with that than the Eagles being good. But the Eagles, talent-wise, the Eagles are 1,000% the team you have to go through to get to the Super Bowl because they are stacked. Brother Bill,
there's a team that's going to roll up to Philly on December 3rd. If they're full strength, we're going to find out whether or not the Eagles are the best team in the league. December 3rd.
Who do they play?
You know who.
You like that joke a little too much.
You know who right here, December 3rd.
Yeah,
we'll find out if the Eagles are the team to beat.
That's actually the perfect segue into our last topic. What do we expect from the Niners? Bye week is Deacon Hill. I'm not even going to call on you. I already see your thoughts. The bye week is like this. This is when things get fixed. The bye week is when the Buccaneers went from mediocre to go to the Super Bowl. This is we have a great bye week. We're right in the middle of the season. It's the perfect place to have it. We're also going into the bye week sucking with 3 losses, so we needed it. Picked up Chase Young, so we have 500 people for the defensive line now. Purdy, and it's interesting what you said about Stroud, and this is why just for me personally, I am confident that Purdy works because even when he throws the most insanely stupid pass to a defender that's running across right in front of him and you're almost in the end zone and he throws it right to him, he doesn't, his whole demeanor is like he's in control. He never looks overwhelmed, even though he makes an interception that makes it look like he's overwhelmed. I have confidence that he's going to figure this out. As soon as we balance our offense a little bit more and don't run it 75% of the time, I think things will come together and defense and everything. Since Deacon Hill, since you were shaking your head, Brother Bill, I'm going to start with you. Thoughts on what you expect from the Niners coming out of the bye week, playing a real opponent in the Jacksonville Jaguars in Florida?
I expect the 49ers run game to get back on track, number one, with Trent Williams back and with Debo in the backfield. And it doesn't all fall on McCaffrey. But where I am concerned is with or without Chase Young in there, if that front four can't get a push, if they have to blitz, that exposes the secondary, which is the weakness of the team. And so it'll be interesting to see how well the pass defense is early in that game. Offensively, if Purdy's throwing the ball 30 plus times, Niners are in trouble because that their passing game is not the strength of their team. It complements their running game. Everything that they do, it hinges around having a balanced attack. And the games that they've won, he's only had to throw the ball 20, 25 times a game. It starts and ends with them controlling the line of scrimmage.
All right. I guess Deacon Hill, you can go.
No, I agree with Brother Bill. I mean, you guys went out and got Chase Young. I mean, you guys should have a pass rush now. I mean, there's no. I mean, you got Bosa on one side and Chase on the other side, and they did play at Ohio State. I think they played one season together, and Bosa was ahead of him in coming out of Ohio State. So, but yeah, you should have a solid pass rush where you wouldn't have to depend on your DBs back there to cover for so long. And like you said, you guys are, you're getting some people healthy now. Maybe even McCaffrey might be a little bit more healthier than he was with his rib or whatever he had going on. So, and that's your team. Again, Purdy to me is Bill don't like me to say this. he's an average quarterback to me. I ain't gonna, you guys can say whatever he is, but I think because it shows when you're down those players. The quarterback, if he's on another level, he has to be able to rise and carry your team. You can't have that big of a drop off when you lose a couple players like that. So that shows that to me he's not that elite guy. And you're saying that Joe, you said like he don't get overwhelmed or nothing like that. To me, that seems like that guy that just says, "I'm just happy to be here." Hey, he was Mr. Irrelevant. He came out of nowhere. So I don't think. I think he's just like, hey, this is all, ice cream and cake for me. I didn't even expect to be here.
Which I can follow you on that. Which also I don't care why he's calm. I don't care if he's calm because he doesn't think it should be there. I don't care. I'm just glad that he's calm. Now, if he can, so I think he's above average, and I think he's slightly above average right now. But if he can figure out how to not crap the bed when we're behind and driving at the end of the game, if he can figure that out, and if he can come out of this game without another concussion, because I swear he got another one in the last game, that's good. Like his to me, the thing he just has to figure out is how to not throw a pick at the very end of the game like Dak Prescott. He just has to come at, just don't be Dak, because every other
stop,
he looks
Dak's
great.
been playing ball, man. Stop. Dak's been playing. Okay, Sister Leslie. Your Cowboys look good. Don't let them talk stuff.
The Cowboys look good enough to find a way to lose the game when they're in the red zone at the 10-yard line.
They were good enough that the Eagles, they were good enough that the Eagles didn't beat them. They beat themselves. Congratulations, Cowboys.
Manage the clock down the stretch. That's what they do.
So as long as we don't have Dak, and it's if we have Dak, that's fine. We're only paying him like $11.25 this year. It's fine. We're not paying him $45 million. I'm cool with it. But he has to like that's it. Like if Purdy's good, and this is when he's going to have to prove it from now on, because the teams seem to put on enough pressure at the end of the game that he's making mistakes, and it's either the teams are pressuring him into making mistakes, and he's showing things on tape that they're able to use against him, or he's getting overwhelmed and just looks calm throwing a pick. But Jacksonville is going to put pressure on their defense 100%, because Trevor Lawrence slings the ball all over the field, and they could be down. We could be up 45-0, and Trevor Lawrence is going to come out in the second half and sling the ball all over the field. So we're going to know real quick, I think, in this game where our defense is, and their defense is good too. And we got to see if Purdy can keep up with the amount of slinging that Trevor Lawrence is going to do. I expect this. If we win, it's going to be it's going to have to be a high scoring game. We're going to be low 30s at least. Because
like Bill said, it's not going to be on the arm of Purdy though. It's going to be on the legs of McCaffrey, Debo, and those guys. You ain't gonna sling it around the field with him.
But with against Jacksonville, we're gonna have to throw more, because Jacksonville will put up points for sure. Especially if our defense can't get home with the front four, because our secondary cannot keep up with Jacksonville's wide receivers and Trevor Lawrence's arm at all. I mean, we got diced up by Burrow. I think we got diced up by. We've gotten diced up the last 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor Lawrence isn't a Joe Burrows, and that Minnesota game, I feel worse about the Minnesota game than the Cincinnati game, because the Niners had their chances earlier in the game. But I think just Purdy just has to be smart with the ball. It's okay to punt if you throw it away. If you can't, trust your defense, because the times that he's made mistakes, it's either been when they've been deep in the red zone or they've been deep in their own territory. And either you lose an opportunity for points or you give the opponent a short field. That's what happened with Cincinnati, and that's what happened with Cleveland too. Cleveland, that just came down to the kicker. So I think he just has to execute and trust his eyes and not try to force it. We'll see. See if that bye was good for the team.
I hope so. I will admit, little nervous after these last 3 games. Not feeling great.
They're 5-3. I mean, they're a 5-3 team, right?
And we're a second half team. That's one thing I've been trying to get in my head is we usually start very slow and then pick it up and like just make the playoffs and then do well in the playoffs. So we're in a better place record wise already. But I want to chip. I want to ring. Okay, enough of this.
Yeah,
Joe, I'll take that chair off your hand, Joe. That parade chair that you bought already.
You
can't return. I'll take it off your hands.
It's got Niners stuff all over. What are you talking about?
9 games to go. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. You like that joke too. You're loving your jokes today.
He just doesn't want to see us there, playing the Super Bowl in Allegiant Stadium. That's all.
This team, we'll invite your team to come hang out. Okay. All right, you guys. So just obviously we have to give congratulations to Bochy, who is a forever Giant in my heart because and he just the icing on the cake for the year that the Giants had, for what's going on with Farhan, with whatever we're doing, signing, whatever we're doing. Bochy winning it was just kind of the cherry on top to just like, all right, Giants, we need to get it together.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was.
Was it him as a manager, or was the team already that close and they just needed?
They lost like 90 games last year.
Yeah, so how do you explain that kind of turnaround just because you have a new manager? That doesn't happen.
Bochy is the man.
Yeah.
He's got 3 rings. He's awesome. All right, you guys. Hopefully we're both talking about victories. And if we can't both talk about victories, hopefully it's just at least the Niners victory and we can talk about the Raiders loss next week.
Raiders will beat the Jets. Zach Wilson, the quarterback, Raiders will be fine.
I wouldn't be surprised if Simeon plays this week because
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Did you hear Saleh? They're asking, like, have you thought about pulling Zach Wilson? He's like, I'm going to plead the 5th on that. And we're like,
wow.
What again? What?
Ah.
Yeah. And then the Rams picked up
Carson Wentz.
And I bet you he comes out and he slings the ball around. I bet he looks pretty good. And then people go, oh, maybe he's not so bad. We'll sign him. McVay is he is the guy. Remember how good Mayfield came out and looked when he was playing with the Rams. Got him a starting job in Tampa.
Yeah.
The dude, he's a dude with quarterbacks, man. He can, but Stafford's obviously done if you're signing Wentz.
The Rams have other issues. We'll see whether Carson Wentz makes a difference.
I don't think it'll make a big enough difference.
Done,
I bet he'll look good.
I just want them to beat the Seahawks when they play him again.
Yeah, of course. And us too.
Yep.
All right, guys. Have a good week, and we will see you next Tuesday.
All right, guys. Your Raiders. Go Raiders. I'm going to say it.
Bill, don't
say that. Bill. Yeah.